Hello friends and welcome to today's episode of Booked. I'm your host Saffron Asteria. I don't know why I did this claw thing. Usually people point or maybe a thumbs up. We're going to go with the claws now. I think that'll be fun. My guest today is author Molly Blake. How are you doing today?
Hi, I'm doing great. Thank you for having me on.
Of course, thank you for coming. I'm excited too because I just finished, like last night, I couldn't sleep because I was reading your book. It was so much fun. It only took me a couple of days to read, but I am so behind on my TBR. It's ridiculous because some person had a clever idea. I'm going to do the claw thing on myself to read a book from everybody that I'm going to be interviewing, and I haven't finished all of them, but I finished yours, and it was a lot of fun. So I am talking about your book Vampire Mall Cop, which I think is book 1, Damien versus the Entrail Eater.
Yes,
I'm going to put the QR code. I'm already rushing through this because I'm excited to show the cover because it's sick. I'm going to put the QR code up here, and I am going to put a link to your link tree in the chat because I want people to check out your work because it's cool as shit. I really, really liked it. Yeah, I'm going to take a breath now as I put this into the chat and say hello to a couple of people that have joined us today. So we've got Sarah Arnu, she's ever the part of the furniture at this point. Always glad to see you. And we've got Rod Gilly, who I'm going to be interviewing on Friday. So thank you so much for joining us today, guys. I'm going to start speaking slower now because I got myself excited because I've been waiting for this for a while, and I'm so glad that we're finally here today. So that you get a chance to talk for a second, could you tell our audience a little bit about your series? So I know that you've got short stories that go along with this book as well. Tell us a bit about the world that you created.
Yes, so Vampire Mall Cop as a whole series, it's about this vampire who works at a haunted magic mall as security, and he goes around fighting monsters and protecting people and just generally having a fun time doing his job. There are a ton of short stories in the universe on my website, and those are like more that route. And then book 1, Damien versus the Entrail Eater, that shows how he got to the mall in the first place, and it's because his aunt broke in and was eating children.
She was so mean. I did not like her. She was like a perfect villain for this.
Yay!
As it was revealed that it was his aunt, I was like, this is just hilarious because obviously they're going to be like really, really old. But the thought of like a fight with a really strong old lady is really funny to me. But because she's like really powerful, it's a fair fight. So it's okay to laugh. But yeah, it was such a fun story. I said to you before the live started, this would be such a fun TV show or a movie because you created this really vivid environment that is, I mean, half the book is set on a mountain and it's largely just set in one room, and the quality of dialogue between Ben and Damien is really entertaining, and Ben is my favorite character. Really reminded me of Samwise Gamgee.
Yay!
In my head, that's exactly what he's like, but skinny. And yeah, I just really, really liked it. It was so much fun. Where did this come from? Because it's so random.
So the whole thing started before I felt brave enough to join Twitter and to like dip my toes into like a giant like main social media site. I was on this little one called minds.com, and it was a very close community. Now it's like a ghost town because most people went back to Twitter. But there was this one account who would do weekly microfiction contests. And I tried out a couple. They never really did too. Around the time that he started introducing pictures to the prompts, and you'll see these in like the first couple of blog posts I include a lot of the pictures, or like I'll say, oh yeah, this was the prompt for this one. I came up with this story of like, okay, what about if we have like this mall cop who's like a monster who is fighting another monster. But that story, it actually turned out to have a very cute ending. The monster like was just this lost little girl, and he's like, "Oh yeah, I'll help you find your mom." And then the mom was this crazy monster. But I couldn't get into that because I was limited to 1,000 words. But that's how this as a whole started. And then every week, instead of coming up with new characters in a new setting, I would just kind of throw whatever the prompt was into this crazy mall. I was just like, okay, yeah, well, anything can happen in this mall. Let's see where this goes. And like some things I would kind of stretch a little bit. Like there was this one that I was a fan of. It was like some mundane item made monstrous, and I was like, oh, I've seen these memes of like the house becoming a warehouse under the full moon. So let's do a warehouse becoming a warehouse under the moon, and then he's got to fight that. So I had a lot of fun with them. People really like reading them, and then like as I kept going and began to make connections and like come up with different character backstories and then make a lot of the lore. So I would do some short stories on my own. And now the account that did the microfictions is no longer active. So now it's kind of just me doing my own thing. But I did dedicate the book to him. That was the Daniel and Angel on that page. Because he did say that if I ever published an anthology, he would get it. So...
That's nice. I hope you hold them to that. It is tons of fun, Sarah. It's a lot of fun, honestly. There aren't a lot of books I read because I usually pick up like really gross horror or like stressful books that are really sad and a bit dark. And this was just really colourful and fun. So Rod had a question. Is it YA? I wouldn't class it as YA, but I don't know about what you would class it as the writer.
So I would say it's more for general audiences. Like it's hard to classify stuff on like KDP or whatever.
Yeah.
But it's definitely like appropriate for kids. One of my friends, he read it to his 2 and 5-year-olds like at night, and they loved it. I could see it being like in like a middle grade or YA section, but that wouldn't really hinder adults from enjoying it either. It's hard to like categorize just like, oh yeah, this really could be pretty much for almost anybody on a lot of sites.
Yeah.
So I usually put it as YA in places. I think on Amazon it says it's like I selected the categories like 14 to 16 and then 18 plus.
Okay.
And on its page it only says 18.
Probably a warning or something.
Kind of annoying, but whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's probably because the categorization works kind of like with movies, just to stop children from reading 18 plus books, I suppose. But it doesn't make sense if they let you select both. But here we go. A lot of stuff doesn't make sense in that world. No, I agree with you in the sense that it wouldn't concern me if a kid read it, but I didn't. If I read YA, I feel that I'm reading below my regular reading level in terms of like the accessibility of some of the wording and the way that some of the characters are presented. And that's not saying that YA is not as good. That's not true. But what I'm saying is like I expect a different presentation of information when it comes to non-YA books. So yeah,
right. And also a major theme of YA is coming of age, which this doesn't have. So I felt kind of skeeved like putting it as YA, but that seemed like the best middle ground that I could pick. So it was weird.
Yeah.
It was a whole
thing.
It's
really hard. It's hard to categorize books. I agree with you there, Rod. It's hard to categorize books at all. When I started putting Idiosyncrasy together, I was like, these aren't going to fit into genres for the most part, especially like self-published and like small published books. People have the opportunity to like flip between genres in a book. Like the book I'm writing at the moment is sci-fi and also horror and also thriller, but also none of those things. It just has very major elements of it. So I'm not going to try and classify it as anything. I'm just going to say this is book. If you like this book, this might be for you. But no, no, I think it's really cool that you have gone from writing short stories from a prompt to actually creating a whole book. Are you? It says number one on the front of this book. Are you going to be writing longer stories and publishing them as like part of a series?
Oh yes, I'm working on book two. It's going kind of slow due to life circumstances, but it's going. And then I also plan to. This is gonna drive Amazon even more crazy, but I'm planning to do like book whatever and a half, and then just have those as like some of the anthologies of the short stories.
Mm-hmm.
That way, people who don't want to go onto my website could also access the short stories because, in my opinion, they really do enrich the world. That's where a lot of Ben's backstory is.
Mm-hmm.
It shows up in the shorts.
Oh,
A
I'm
lot
gonna
of
have
things
to
like
read
that.
them. I'm gonna have to read them.
Aha!
I love Ben, honestly. I thought he was great. I felt like I knew him, and he was just like this dude that had like this really friggin' cool job. But I loved that it was magical, mystical, but he was also like just working in an office, and everything was run almost exactly the same as probably a regular mall is, but except all this weird stuff is going on in the background. And when he gets randomly possessed, that threw me. I don't know what was going on then. That was a lot of fun.
Oh, there's more information about that in the shorts, and you can't see it because my camera's off, but I'm rubbing my hands maniacally together like some little fly.
You've put so many little Easter eggs in there that I'm like, I need to know what's going on in this world. If you're a Netflix representative and you're watching this would be the perfect option for your next series because it's incredibly entertaining and just tons of fun. So when you sit down to write, do you have any other characters that are trying to get your attention, or is it largely this world that you put into words?
I have like other worlds and other stories,
Mhm.
but it's mostly this one. This is the one that I have the most concrete plans for.
Mhm.
The other ones I have like some partially filled notebooks with maybe an outline, and if I feel like it, I'll work on that. But this is definitely my main project.
Mhm. Do you ever see it having a conclusion, or I mean, it's set up in such a way that you could basically do like a bajillion spin-offs, right?
Oh, for sure, yeah.
Yeah.
There will be a conclusion to like Damien's main story.
Mhm.
I am planning it towards that.
Okay.
There might be. I think my current like series outline has something like 15 books if you count the point fives.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, it's progressing towards a certain point.
That's very cool. So you've got, I mean, you've got tons of years worth of material that you're going to be fine getting hold of, I think. Because
Oh yeah.
I wonder whether people run out of ideas ever. But I suppose if you have created something that is like a small part of what could be a much, much bigger, interesting world, Molly Blake's Vampire Mall Cop Empire. Exactly, Carol. You have nailed it on the head. Yeah, I'm struggling to put into words how curious I am as to where it's all going to go because there's so much potential. Because one of the things I really liked was that the creatures that you picked to feature within this particular book were not necessarily ones that always get all the good press or that are the most popular to see in fiction. So, how did you decide who you were going to feature? Because there are tons and tons and tons of options. How did you decide?
Like as far as Spot and Alan and
Mm-hmm.
what's his face, the shrimp. I forget his name.
Space.
um. Well, some of those are characters that I have at least like laid the groundwork to be more developed in
Mm-hmm.
the shorts because I wrote like
Oh
50
my god!
shorts before I wrote this one. There are a lot. There
Wow.
are a lot of shorts, um, and a lot of like sort of a lot of threads in the shorts I wanted to be able to
Mm-hmm.
pick up here, especially with Spot, he's gonna play a role
Oh,
later
good.
in the series, especially because he and
Hmm.
Emily are friends. Um, Alan, I needed some sort of tie to Ben's past because that'll
Hmm.
come back later. The shrimp was a completely one-off thing. Um, yeah, I have no idea. I rewrote that chapter because the first draft of that chapter was weird and like the first aid kit was completely
Hmm.
mundane, and I didn't end up liking it. So I was like, okay, what could I do here? Oh yeah, cleaner shrimp are a thing. Let's just put one of those in there. Who needs salt water?
You have shrimp, right? In,
Yes, I do. I've got a whole little
that's really
tank of
cool.
them.
How many shrimp do you have?
Uh, for adults, I've seen three babies in there. They're kind of hard to count because there's so many
Hmm.
places for them to hide. Um, because one of the adults that I did get, she was buried, which is the shrimp word
Hmm.
for pregnant. So she had the little eggs in her swimmerettes, and they hatched, and I have no idea how many there were. But the plan, yes, shrimp. The plan
Hmm.
for that tank, because I at one point I found these really two driftwood that I was able to fit together into a dragon head. So I have this like wooden dragon head in the tank, and I was just like, oh, okay, what if I got a ton of yellow shrimp, and then it looked like the hoard of gold? Then the dragon is sitting on the hoard of gold. So that was that plan.
Lazy.
So now I'm just kind of waiting for the shrimp to look more horde like and not just like four little doubloons scattered around hiding in the seaweed.
Every dragon's got to start somewhere. They haven't
Oh,
got puppets as
absolutely.
far as I'm aware. So,
Yeah.
it's going to be a slow grow. I expect to see a photo of this when you've achieved your goal, because that's something that would greatly interest me. Um, Rod did have a question for you. Is non-shrimp related, but we can get back to that in a second. Did you find it difficult to switch from short form to a longer form story? Story? I'm not Sean Connery. What am I doing?
You've still got shrimp on your mind. You're adding the H
That's what it is.
after
That's
the
what it
S.
is. Shrimp stories. But no, did you find it
So,
difficult?
not really, because before I'd written any of the shorts, I actually did write a full length science fiction trilogy that's just like sitting in my little archives of maybe I'll do something with this later. It did take some encouragement for me to like get uh, get the story out there that wasn't just
Hmm.
on my website. I initially put it on Kindle
Mm.
Vella back when that existed, and it was sort of like a midway point in the transition because you do like realize chapters for Vella. So I was able to make each chapter like have its own little story, have its own little arc, yada yada.
Hmm.
And then I was just made sure to put them together into something that fit as its own thing.
Mm.
So I was a bit used to
Oh,
writing the long form before that.
you cut out for a second, but I think I
I'm
caught
sorry.
that. So,
Yeah.
yeah, I that didn't last very long. Not your thing, but Vela, right? That was like a couple of years, maybe. Not even that.
Yeah. It's really sad because I
Yeah,
liked
the
using that
concept was
platform.
good. Yeah, I feel like that would work again if somebody did it because they love doing it. Free business idea. Take the thing that Amazon didn't do for very long and do that. Um,
And also open it up to like around the world because one of my other author friends, she was Italian. She never got to read it, at
oh,
least
really?
when it was on Vella. Yeah, because it was
Huh.
only available in the US.
Oh, I didn't know that. I didn't really mess with it, but the concept I thought was very interesting, and then it just sort of stopped being talked about, and I thought, oh, maybe it didn't go very well. But yeah, I think that was probably a very good exercise for you. I mean, having had the previous experience writing your trilogy anyway, um, it's it's a totally different thing writing something and writing something that other people are actually going to read. That's super terrifying. How did you know that you were ready to like put together something to present as a book?
So I I knew that I wanted to do some sort of longer thing,
Mm-hmm.
because I had the idea of the internet leader of like how Damien was getting to the mall in the first place, and I knew that wouldn't work as a short because it ended up being 55,000 words. Um, and I just was kind of nervous to like try and like, oh yeah, let's self-publish, woohoo. Um, but one of my author friends, she read a lot of stuff on Vella, and she really she was in the acknowledgments actually.
Mm.
Leslie Shue, she was a huge part of like helping me to take that leap of faith and put it on Vella and
Oh,
then make it
that's
a book.
nice.
I definitely would have gotten cold feet at some point. Many of my author friends' encouragement and advice. But yeah, Leslie is a big one. She's been one of the most like loyal readers of Vampire Mall Cop right from the
That's
start.
really nice. I'm glad that you've got good people around you because that can make all the difference. If you have encouragement, especially from your peers, it is like a superpower.
Oh
Honestly,
yeah.
when somebody whose opinion you really respect gives you a compliment or tells you you can do something, it is one of the coolest feelings, and it does make you feel like you can do anything. Um, Rod has a point, but not everybody has the capacity to be able to do that. So writers shouldn't wait until they're ready. We take a deep breath and jump. Writers are brave. I think there's a big difference between the writer being ready and the book being ready. Because sometimes, and I've seen this across the board, writers are ready before the book is, and they get really excited and they share it with the world, and it doesn't go the way they want it to. So writers are definitely brave, and it's I've said this time and time again, it's a very, very vulnerable thing to share your inner thoughts and feelings and the characters that you know and love with strangers for them to judge. That's a stressful experience. And that
Yeah.
is so off putting to me.
Part of the reason that I was apprehensive is because I was still carrying a little bit of baggage from the science fiction thing. I
Mm-hmm.
actually tried to get that traditionally published at first. I
Mm-hmm.
got the first one professionally edited too. The editor, she did manuscript edits, but
Mm-hmm.
then when I like made suggested changes and tried emailing her to see like to go, oh hey, here's what I did,
Mm-hmm.
it was complete radio silence.
Did you
So
pay
I
them?
don't, I, I don't, I'm kind of reluctant to call it ghosting because like she did do the pass,
Mm.
but I didn't know if any of the changes that I'd made were good.
Mm. Yeah.
So I was like, okay, well, it was edited. I'll query this because I'm sure if it gets picked up, then publishing agencies will
Mm-hmm.
have in-house editors. Um, so I queried it around for like a year, and then I eventually kind of fell out of love with it because
Yeah.
querying gave me headaches. So that's why that one is in the archives,
Mm-hmm.
and that's also why I was like, do I want it? I don't know. But I'm glad that I did. Vampire Mall Cop was my first book because I absolutely love this universe and these characters, and I have so many plans for them. And I'm so glad that people who read it also love it and have a great time with it. It gives me so many warm fuzzies.
Oh, that's nice. It's definitely one of those books where as I read it I can tell that you really deeply care about the characters that you've shown the world. And I think it was a really good first choice. Um, as I said before, I friggin' love this cover so much. I love this cover so much. When I first saw it months ago, because it's been on my list for a while, and I finally like, no, I have to read it now. Um, the idea of a man fighting an old lady in a roof is hilarious. The fact that he's a vampire is even better because I love vampires and vampire things. Yeah, it's great. Who did you say that
Woohoo!
your cover artist was again?
Vampire. Neutron Boar. So I pretty much gave him like the faintest idea. I was like, oh yeah, let's have Damien and Tildy up in the rafters, like doing a
Uh-huh.
little face off thing. And then he just took that concept and ran with it. Like I completely like let him go unleashed because I've heard because I did mention that some of my other friends, they have also commissioned him for covers.
Mhm.
And one of them had to sort of just like rein Boar in because he
Mhm.
was doing like too many cool things, and I did not rein him in. I was just like, go for it, man, do whatever, and it was amazing. Excellent decision because this looks so cool. Like I didn't imagine, I could never have imagined that it would end up like this colorful. Because
Mhm.
usually when you think of shopping malls, you think of like, I don't know, white
Mhm.
marble floors, a lot of like
Fake plants.
neutral,
Yeah.
yeah, neutral colors, fake plants. But yeah, I absolutely adore this cover. The home screen for my phone and my laptop, like I just love looking.
Oh, that's nice. I love looking at it too. It would make a really good poster as well. It's so eye catching and just so beautifully detailed and so human. And I love it. Well, let's say human. There's vampires on the front. You know what I mean.
Right. He does such good work. I love looking at his stuff.
I'm going to go and have a look and see what else he's done because I love this art style so much. It looks like a painting. It's amazing. Bit of advice from Rod, and Rod is an editor and also owns a small press, so it's good advice. I don't think you have given up. I assume that you had an editor work with you on this particular book. Is that right?
Actually, that one was pretty much me.
You
I
did a friggin' good job. What the
thank
hell?
you.
I got need an editor.
I gave it to a couple friends for like big picture things, like okay, character development, pacing, and stuff.
Mhm.
But that was me. And that is a career that I would like to pursue.
You should
So
do
that I
that.
was like training myself on myself.
You should do that, please.
But
You
yeah,
would be
I
very good.
no editors ghosted me on Vampire Mall Cop. Can confirm.
I'm glad you showed up for yourself. No, seriously, I don't think I saw a single spelling mistake, and that's rare. Not that that's the most important thing in the world, but I do think that you should pursue that as a thing because that you did a good job.
Thank you. There actually is one. In the chapter where Damien tells the whale story, there's like a missing word at like the end of the line, like right at the start of the chapter, and it's one of those ones where like because of where it is, your brain just fills it in, and it's
Mhm.
been gnawing at me, and I've like wanted to fix it, but I also don't want to mess with the PDF because that's annoying.
Yeah.
And then eventually I decided to like make a conscious decision to leave that in because as like a little watermark, like oh this was made by a person, people make mistakes, it wasn't a machine.
Yeah.
So
That's a good one.
maybe I'm just coping, maybe I'm just justifying my reluctance to not mess with files again because I hate it.
Do you know what? You do what you've got to do, Molly. It's okay. I totally get it. It's not like I don't know. It's not like it's on every chapter, or you're missing a whole sentence or whatever. It's fine. You also put,
But yeah, people haven't
yeah,
noticed
I
for the most
hadn't.
part.
I think I was so engrossed in the whole story about the whales. I was terrified the entire time, even though I knew he survived because he was telling the story. As I was reading it, I was thinking, "Oh my god, he's going to die." Obviously, he didn't, because it was upon reflection. Um, yeah. Did you have to do much research into the creatures that you uh, shared with us? And same goes for any of your short stories as well. Did you keep true to lore, or like fairy tales, or did you make some of it up? How did that work?
So I get the creatures from basically all over the place. Some of them are they do show up in
Mhm.
folklore. There's one short where Damien's cat catches a Volpertinger, which is kind of like a
Mhm.
jackalope, but native to Germany. And he finds this little guy buried in the litter box, and he's like, "Oh my gosh, I need to save it!" So he like runs to all these veterinary offices, and they're like, "What is this? Is this some kind of prank?" And he's like, "No." There's one called the Mellified Man, which is Ben's secretary, Emily, teaming up because the mall is low on like healing potions. And the
Mhm.
way that they get these healing potions is not like mixing anything up. It's they pretend to be supervillains to lure in a local superhero, and then they mug him. Um, and
Brilliant.
so that one is called the Mellified Man, and the superhero is also called the Mellified Man because there was this ancient Chinese medicinal practice of mellification.
Mm-hmm.
And this might be a little bit gross, so if people have upset stomachs, you might want to cover your ears for a second. But if someone was about to die, they would feed them like nothing but honey for like 2 weeks, just completely fill them with honey. And then they die because honey, and they were dying anyway. And then they'd stick them in a coffin, fill it with honey, let it sit for like 100 years, and then after the body dissolves, it was like supposedly this miracle medicine. So the Mellified Man, the superhero that they were fighting, was just this skeleton, like suspended in a glob of honey.
Wow, what
And
a
they stole
sticky
the
character.
honey. And
That is
that's
hilarious.
so yeah, there are some that are like that where I did take some folklore. Some are based off of just like goofy whatever concepts, like, oh yeah, the warehouse.
Mm-hmm.
There's one where a friend sent me like this video compilation of posts in this one Facebook group where people role play as ants.
Amazing.
And he was like, oh, this should be in VMC. And I looked at the video and I was like, absolutely. So then I wrote this one story where Ben and Damien are having lunch, and Ben gets a weird alert on his phone, and then he gets hypnotized and he's got to go feed this big ant. So he starts rummaging through the garbage, and Damien's like, what the heck is happening? Dude, what is this? So yeah, there's like just all sorts of stuff. I did research a bit more heavily was the KGB and like how they operated and what sort of things they were up to. I had this big book. It was just an absolute doorstop. I eventually made it through. Yay.
Do you know what? That was a really good vehicle for him being in hiding. And I loved that you also like put some of his background into his character. That was a really interesting twist because at first when I was sort of figuring out who this guy was, I was like, how is he going to get himself into this position in the rafters with this old lady? I couldn't put two and two together, but it was such an interesting journey for them to take. And I loved his character development because I thought, oh, this guy's an arsehole. And I was like, oh, he's really nice, actually. And that was really nice. And that he actually turned out to be a really sweet person, even though he was like a horrendous killer.
Yeah, definitely starts the book like very callous.
Mm-hmm.
He's been through a lot, but there is a good person underneath all the KGB prison camp stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Also, he really loves his cat. I liked that.
He does.
That's nice. Yeah. So, did you put yourself, as in your personality, into any of the characters in this entire world, not just the one book?
Ben.
Nice.
Yeah.
Wise. Oh, that's nice. Is it because you're just really lovely and a bit sassy? I feel like there's some sassiness in there because Ben's quite sassy.
Maybe some of the sassiness, maybe some of the like weird maniacalness if I'm like too into something.
Okay.
I try to keep him as his own thing, but like when I'm writing him, I definitely see myself in him. And it's not something that I fight all too hard. I can only write him that way.
Well, he's a very interesting character, and I like that he could have been written as like a bit bumbly or a bit weedy, but I like that he was quite confident, but just like a regular dude, rather than like, I don't know, the best word I can come up with is like weedy, and a bit nervous and stuff. But he's like, nah, I hang out with monsters all day. It's just kind of what we do, or entities rather, as you call the book. Yeah, I like Ben. It makes sense because I like you as well. That helps. So you're welcome. So Rod is a horror writer and he's curious. How does the vampire in your story feed?
So he does drink blood. and he can eat food on top of that too.
Hmm.
So he's got two stomachs, which is a fact that disturbed him when he found out. He didn't know that. But he's got the blood stomach, which connects to like a little tube that follows the trachea and then goes into his fangs. And then he's got the regular stomach. He doesn't need blood super often, like once every couple weeks. And if he like absolutely packs his regular stomach, he can kind of push it off further.
Hmm.
So when he was on the mountain, he did prey on hikers because he can't do animal blood. Well, he could, but it just tastes really bad to
Hmm.
him. So he would prey on hikers and climbers when he was in Alaska. And at the mall, Ben gets him bags of it. He's got a little mini fridge, and one of Ben's responsibilities is like chief dealer of Wither for all of the make sure the fridge does not go empty.
So I imagine that cold blood is absolutely disgusting. Does he have a microwave? Or does he just suck it like a juice box?
That's not he. I've imagined that he just like drinks it straight.
Okay.
I don't know if there'd be room in that little closet for a microwave.
Have
It's
it on
pretty
the
packed.
Yeah. You could
But
also.
yeah, temperature is not really something that I thought about too much.
Mhm. Yeah.
There's probably a microwave somewhere. There's probably a microwave in the food court.
Yeah, I was going to say, it's a whole mall.
Or
They've
like,
got
yeah,
all sorts of stuff.
there's probably like a coffee machine in the faculty, not the faculty, like the staff offices, and then next to that there's a little thingy.
Yeah, blood on the rocks. I'm imagining like a crystal glass, something fancy. Damien strikes me as a classy guy with good taste.
He was royalty at one point. He was a marquis.
He gives off that vibe. Gives off the vibe. Although he seems to be perfectly happy shoveling animal shit. So, I mean, that's, at least he's
Yep.
down to earth in a way, which I appreciated.
I don't want to spoil too much because this is all stuff that
See, I
comes
need
back
to read
later
the
in the
short
series.
stories. This is what it's telling me, that I have all these ideas and I need to figure it out for myself by reading them. Yes, we have a unique nuance. I'm assuming that you mean the double stomach thing, um, which was very cool. Did that come from? Is that an original idea, or is that inspired by something?
I came up with that one. Some of the shorts, like some of the little blog
Mhm.
post anthology dealy thingies, the short story extravaganzas I call them. Um, there were some like world building vampire lore things that I wanted to be able to
Mhm.
include, but didn't really have a way to sort of insert them
Mhm.
naturally into like a story. So I came up with these little shortments, and it's basically Ben. Um, I won't say harassing Damien because Damien does like hanging out with his buddy, and he does willingly participate in these things. But like he hangs out in Ben's office, and Ben just like records a conversation. He's like, "Hey, so tell me about your organs," or stuff like that. It's like, well, actually, Damien's not the one telling him about the organs because Ben is the one who did the magic x-rays. But Ben is like, here, let me tell you about this cool thing that I found in your x-ray. You have a second stomach. And Damien's like, what the heck? Why? But there's all stuff like that.
Ben is so
Like,
invasive. He's so invasive. But I appreciate it because he's obviously archiving all this stuff. And for anyone that hasn't read this book, Ben basically is like he like catalogs information about all the different entities so you can learn about them. I don't know if his special interest is vampires or if it's just like everything. Um, I've not read enough of your work, obviously, to know that. Uh, but yeah, I love that he's just like really, really curious, and that's a really good way of sharing that structure and the background with the reader without spoon feeding it to them, because you've got this whole character that's interested in giving you information, but that's like the whole deal. So I appreciated that, because sometimes when people like lore dump, for example, I find that tedious because it feels like reading a textbook.
oh
But I
yeah.
feel like that's a really good vehicle to be able to share that kind of information with the reader.
Yeah, one of the like the in-universe reasons that Ben is so curious about Damien is because one, he's got constant access
Hmm.
to a vampire now because there's a vampire
Hmm.
living in his workspace, and two, Damien is like the first vampire to ever really be present in the New World because most of them are all in Europe and
Hmm.
Russia and stuff. So there's a big gap in what is in the archives. And so Ben is like, aha, an opportunity. I can jump on this.
And he's not afraid to just do it, whether or not Damien likes it.
Nope.
That's very sweet. There is something that I need to ask you. Do you play the accordion?
I I play it sometimes. I'm trying to teach myself, but I don't practice super consistently. I'm somewhat getting there though.
That's very cool. Are
I can
you?
play a couple beginner songs. I'm working, but I know
I
how
like
the
that.
left hand, how the bass side works. I know what all those
Hmm.
buttons mean.
That's cool. I that's more accordion than I can play. I don't ask that of everybody, but I might now. I might just throw that out there every time we have an author on the show. I might go. I have to ask you, do you play the accordion? And then we'll see if they can. And then if enough people say yes, maybe you could put together an accordion orchestra,
Ooh,
which I don't know if that exists or if it should, but it could if there are enough people. Just
yeah,
saying.
I've been a huge fan of Weird Al Yankovic for years, and that was one of the big things that like fueled that. My boyfriend got me the accordion for my birthday,
That's cool.
and he also is self-taught. So as he kind of goes through the books,
Hmm.
he'll ones that he's finished with, because he is better at practicing consistently than me. Uh, but yeah, I can do some songs. One of the really fun things that I like to do is kind of cobble together like songs like accordion appropriate. Like there's this one I got a book of I liked for the piano, but since the left
Hmm.
hand of the piano, left hand of the accordion are so different,
Hmm.
you kind of have to like deconstruct it and then just kind of rebuild it in a way that you could play it on the accordion. So I look up a lot of like, okay, what's the guitar chord for this part because the accordion has a bunch of chord buttons.
Hmm.
Um, what's like a more accessible way to like do this bit because the notes are not arranged in like the scale order on the left hand. They're with the circle of fifths.
Hmm.
So it's fun to do that. It's really like educational to do that. Like I've never taken official music theory classes,
Hmm.
but I feel like just trying to decode that kind of thing
Hmm.
and make it into something workable is teaching me a lot.
Oh, for sure. Music is a fantastic creative tool to exercise that part of your brain. Are you like largely just an overall creative person? It
Probably,
seems
yeah.
it. Do you do any kind of like knitting or
Yeah.
like practically crafty things, or are you more like writing music-y sort of creative? Or are you both?
I had a short like loom knitting
Of
phase
course you
when I
did.
was in high
Of course
school,
you
maybe.
loomed.
But now the most like hands-on craft that I do is I would say aquascaping. So like arranging fish tanks or like terrariums to be really pretty and really naturalistic. One of my favorite YouTube
Mhm.
channels is Serpa Design, and he does a lot of
That's
that.
cool.
So stuff like making the little
Mhm.
driftwood dragon,
That's very
things
cool.
like that.
That's very cool. I find that people who are like practically creative as well as being writers do tend to have very vivid imaginations, and I can definitely see that in the work that you produce. I'd be really interested to see what your sci-fi is like, um, and if you do ever decide to publish that, because you've self-published this work, has it given you any kind of confidence to self-publish anything else that's separate from this?
Seeing as the sci-fi trilogy is
Mm.
completed, and it also has this one character, then I would love the world to see him. I might self-publish that later.
Okay.
I'm not super sure though. I kind of have it in the reserves.
Mm.
Like, okay, maybe if Vampire Mall Cop slows down too much, I could polish this up and put it out there.
Well, it would be very, very cool if you did, and please let me know if you do that. I'm not very good at seeing things happening in front of my face, so feel free to let me know if you ever do that, because I'd be interested to read it.
I might have the first chapter on my website somewhere. I don't remember if I took that down or not. It might still
I'll
be
have a
there.
look. That's a lovely compliment.
Oh, thank
I
you.
agree. I had to ask you about the accordion thing because I saw it on your Twitter page the other day, and I was like, "Shrimps and accordions? Come on, this is too good. That's too many good things. I can't believe that." Are there any other like unusual hobbies that you have, or things that you like? Are you a trapeze artist on the weekends? Um,
No. Those are fish tanks and writing are the
mhm,
two big ones. Accordion is a third.
mhm.
It's on there. Um, I play D&D, but I feel like that's not like a one. I feel like a lot of creatives play D&D because it's just like storytelling the game. Woo.
It is, and I've had a few conversations with fantasy authors specifically that play D&D, and it seems like a really fantastic tool for character development and like world building. So it's something that I've wanted to get into, but I'm too scared to.
Aw.
I'm too
It's
scared.
really fun. It's kind of a learning curve at the start because
Mhm.
like you get the character sheet and you're like, what is this?
Mhm.
What how do I get these numbers? Even I still need help with it. I've
Mhm.
been playing D&D for like a year. But once you kind of get past that hurdle and actually get to playing,
Mhm.
it's a great time. There's I'm in a campaign with a couple of my other author friends,
Mhm.
and the DM he does stream it on his YouTube channel. It's called Contracts of the Blue Dandelion. I play a sorcerer elf, like doctor slash anthropologist who is just giving the party warlock a terribly hard time because he does not produce stool samples and he's eating like 10,000 calories a day and still looks emaciated. So I think he's got a parasite. Oh yeah, and he doesn't want to explain that the fact that he is a warlock, and is his patron is the embodiment of hunger because in this world warlocks are hunted. So he's just like, yeah, I'm a sorcerer. That's how I cast Eldritch Blast. Yep. And then I'm like, Eleanor, why are you looking like caloric deficient? Do you have a parasite? And this poor guy, it's that's mostly what I'm doing. Whatever those weird shenanigans are. Sometimes we do the plot.
Mhm. I think that you were probably born to be a storyteller. I'm getting that from you. Look, I was being mystical. I'm not a mystically person. Um, but yeah, I feel like this is something that you need to just keep doing forever, because it would be sad if the world didn't continue to get your stories. So yeah, it's
Aw,
been really
thank
awesome
you.
talking to you. I have a couple of questions left for you before I let you leave. And if anybody does
Oh,
have any
sure thing.
questions for Molly, now is the time to put them in the chat. So I have two questions that I always ask people at the end of a show. And the first one is, what does success look like to you as a writer?
That's a hard one because I feel like I keep moving the goalposts for myself. Getting the book published was
Mhm.
definitely a big one. Um, I feel like that was like, oh yeah, I'm an author now. So I think that was like the main one.
Mhm.
But another little goal for myself, like, oh, let's get book 2 out there. Oh, let's get another. Oh, let's do another thing.
Mhm.
Um, and then I feel good when I reach those goals too. So yeah, probably just having a book out there. That would be the main one.
That's cool. And it sounds like you're constantly even though you're moving these goalposts, you seem to be able to reach some level of satisfaction from doing that anyway. It's not like you're. It doesn't sound like anyway that you're moving the goalposts to an unrealistic place where you're never going to be happy with what you're doing. You're like, I'm happy. I can be happy again with this other thing. So
Yeah.
that's a good attitude to have, I think.
Also, the fact that when people read Vampire Mall Cop, they really, really like it. So that always gives me like the glowing feeling, like, oh yes, yes, I'm doing it, I made it, woohoo, let's go.
Oh, that's nice. It is fantastic. I really, really like
it
again. Yeah. Sarah. Okay. Sarah always asks these questions. I'm gonna just call her my co-host at the moment. I would like to know if you have ever heard of Pingu, the penguin.
Oh, that's like the meme penguin,
Yes.
right? Who is claymation, and like sometimes his beak turns into a tube when he makes like a very exaggerated sound or something. I never watched it as a kid or anything, but I've seen the memes.
Yes, that's the guy. He's an asshole. I used to watch Pingu as a kid, and he's just an angry penguin. He's a very, very angry penguin. No, exactly. This is the sound he makes when he makes the little trumpet face. And have you heard of the Wombles?
Those ones I have not.
Feel free to look them up, and to come back to me when you have. They are these little dudes, little Wombles, little furry guys, and they have little triangle faces, and they go around collecting recycling, and they live in Wimbledon, in the London area. And that is also a show that I grew up watching, but I don't remember a lot of it. It feels like a fever dream. And if you were to go and watch even the intro, you would probably agree that it's weird, but it's also a bit of a weird British staple. So it was like a 50-50 that you might have heard of it before. Yeah, very weird invention. But I kind of wish they'd do a reboot, but with like the puppets still. I don't want an animated version. I like the puppets. Anyway, going down a tangent about Wombles. Thanks, Sarah. My last question. My last question for you is: do you have any advice for writers out there that you wish you'd have known earlier on?
So, one of the things that I did learn early enough in it, which I will be implementing in all of my future books, because this was a great idea.
Mm-hmm.
People don't do it, unless maybe they do it, and I don't know. But was publish the Kindle version first, and then let initial readers catch any typos and point them out to you. That way, there are no like physical copies floating around with typos that like slipped past all 12 stages of editing or whatever.
That's great advice.
So that one's a big one. Yeah, I think I waited a month between the Kindle version and the paperback. Maybe a little more, because formatting was hard.
Yeah. I know that's a stage that people slip up on. Do you use a specific program to format, or do you do it on Word? Like how do you work that?
I did it on Word, and I was incredibly has experience with like all of files and documents and stuff. Like he works in that sort of field, and that my mom is a graphic designer. So every time, that they both have more experience with Word than me. So every time I ran into a wall and I had no idea how to like fix a thing. Like at one point, the header or whatever just started to be dead.
Classic.
So yeah, definitely without them, I would have been flying completely blind. I would have had zero idea what I was doing. I am so blessed that they were able to help me, and that they've been like so supportive of me the entire writing and publishing journey.
That's nice. I'm so glad that you have good people around you. And as I said before, for anyone that joined a bit late, having a supportive community, especially of writers around you, is a powerful thing. So if you're able to find that, then hold on to it, because it's not always easy to find a place in a group, and not everybody needs a group. But if you do have like even one person that is able to like lift you up and give you good advice and look out for your best interests, then you hold on to those people, because the world is a horrendous place at the moment, and you know, positivity is going to go a much, much longer way. Um, thank
Absolutely. You
so
said
much.
it.
Thank you so much for joining me today. This has been a lot of fun, picking your brain and talking about shrimp and accordions and books and stuff. So that was a lot of fun. Is there anything before we go that you wanted to be able to share with the group? The group, like we're at a big group.
Nothing I can think of right now. I don't know. What do people usually share at this section?
Sometimes the socials, but I'll put the link in the description of this video, so you don't have to
Oh yeah, I'm on the internet. Have fun finding me.
On that note, that wasn't an invitation to hunt Molly down.
No, not like that. Not in real life. Have fun finding me on the internet.
There you go. So the link for all of Molly's stuff, I put your link tree in the description of the video. It's down there. I also put it in the chat for anyone that was here, and the QR code's there. If you have your phone separate and you want to scan it, you can do that too. Yeah, thank you so much again. Thank you to everyone that joined us today. Again, I never know where to look. Now we're doing a claw thing. It's a whole mess. So have a
Shrimp
lovely
claws.
rest of the day. Shrimp claws. It's going to be a new thing. I think I need to paint my nails really pink, and maybe some sort of face paint down the hands to look like claws, because I think that'd be more fun and more useful than gloves. I'll think about that one. Anyway, before I make my shrimp transformation, I'm going to say goodbye now, and I will catch you on the other side. There'll be an outro, and I will see you in the green room. Bye, everybody. Thanks, Molly.
All right. Bye. Thank you for watching.